All right, good day, hi, and welcome. What a lovely day. Very watery in the yard here, but okay, people. I'm about to tell you the second most saddest chainsaw story in human history. Behold, Sasquatch. Anyway, poor Sasquatch here. My MS-270. So you saw in my last video my MS-260. This MS-270, I got it for free. My dad got it going again. It was apparently supposed to be seized when I got it, and the guy that was throwing it out, I was doing a painting some siding or some pine siding for a client, and he had this thing and he was throwing it out, and he says, you can take it for scrap metal if you want. I said, you don't mind if I take it? He goes, yeah, I'm just throwing it out anyway. I said, what's wrong with it? He goes, oh, it's seized. So I didn't pull it or nothing in front of him. I got it home, I pulled it, and it went brrr. So I was like, okay, it's definitely not seized. My dad messed around with it, he got it going, but it started doing something weird. It would run for maybe 15 minutes and then it would conk out. 15 minutes, then conk out, right? So I was like, oh, okay, maybe it's a coil issue, maybe it's whatever. Couldn't quite adjust it right, played around with it, really hard to start, really hard to keep it going. Ninja Shark has the same problem, a little bit to the lesser degree, but pretty much the same symptoms in both saws. Now, this saw can be rebuilt to a 260, or sorry, a 280. So you can, it's basically a 50cc saw like the MS-260, except for the 270 was just a little heavier duty. So it's a slightly heavier saw. It's like a pound or so heavier, 2 pounds heavier, whatever. They no longer make this, but this was a really well sought after saw when they were new. They were pretty much the top of their class, so to speak. But this one is going to need a rebuild, same way Ninja Shark is going to need a rebuild. I have no idea how old this saw could be 30 years old. I have no idea. I brought it up to the still shop, but I didn't take it in. So what ended up happening is the 260, as I told you in the last video, was going to cost, just for the piston kit and the carb, was going to be about $500 just for that, not even including the labor to the rebuild. So this if I made it a 270 or bumped it up to a 280, I've seen the rebuild kit just for about $300 just for that. You know, so this going through still would be about $500-600. It'd probably cost you about $800 to probably fix everything. So it's going to need all new hoses and all that stuff, new caps, and you know, the caps seem okay, but it's good to, you know, if you're going to rebuild it, rebuild everything that needs to rebuild. But I didn't pay a cent for this, and the saw did make me, yeah, I did a couple of jobs. I did a fair amount of cutting with it. It's just I could only cut for a little bit, and then it'd conk out, and then I'd have to wait till it cooled down. And I figured if I ran it more and more, the more I was running it, the better it seemed to run. But you know, like sometimes when things are done, they're done. You know what I mean? So same thing. It probably needs a rebuild. I don't know about the compression because I haven't tested it. What I'm going to do with this is the same thing I'm going to do. It's either going to become a parts saw. I'm just going to sell it off for parts and whatever. But if I did have the extra cash to rebuild it, I probably would rebuild it. But that's going to be, you know, like such a low priority, because I'm going to buy a new saw. Hopefully by midsummer I'll have well, it depends on how much work I have and whatever. I'll be buying a new saw probably around mid-June or so, depending on how much money I got coming in and the rest of my expenses. But once I do that, then like this saw and, you know, Sasquatch here and Sasquatch and Ninja Shark will probably be sold off either as parts or put aside for a later date where I got just extra money, and which usually never happens, but have extra money, and I do rebuilds on them. But it was a good saw for cutting, for sure. I do know that it's a little bit better of a falling saw. It is, again, about a pound or two heavier than the MS-260. But it's a stiffer saw, so it you know, if you plunge cut it, I only plunge cut it. I think I plunge cut twice with it. Just haven't cut trees large enough with this thing that required that. So but I did cut quite a bit with it, and considering I haven't put a cent into this thing, not even the oil and the gas. I mean, that was all paid for by my clients, right? So, but it is nice to have the second saw, you know, because then you can cycle your saws, run one for a tank, let it take a break, run the other one for a tank, let it take a break, go back to this saw, you know. That's what I like doing. But I do like having this size of a saw, but I do need something a little bit bigger, a little more power. But they are a cool saw, but unfortunately, right now, like the Red Baron's famous last words, kaput. Yeah, so anyway, I just thought I'd give you the update. That's what's happened with Sasquatch. So he's pretty much in the same condition as Ninja Shark, and very sad day, very sad day. But however, I gotta show you something that's not so sad. I can open and close my car door because I'm handsome. I fixed it with a coat hanger. Yeah. So at least the silver pellet's doing well. I gotta watch I don't scratch his paint. You know, dragging stuff across like that, you'll scratch your paint, right? So you gotta be careful. That's one thing about having a truck is you have a tailgate. But yeah, the hood's doing the job. All right, so anyway, yeah, so give poor Sasquatch a thumbs up for his good service, even though it was a limited time. I only had him for maybe about 3 years now, and only got like, you know, like two or three jobs, maybe 4 jobs out of him before he died. So, but the price was right. He served me well, you know. Is what it is. Maybe if I ever do rebuild it, I'll rebuild them into a 280, which is I think 54 cc's or something like that. So it's 54 or 56 cc's, whatever the 280 kit is. That would be kind of cool, but again, not priority. So I don't know if he's going to go for parts or not. I'll keep you guys posted if whatever their fate is. But anyway, there you go. Have a good look at the poor Sasquatch. Anyway, have yourselves a great day. Poor guy.